so we're going to talk about resolutions and goal setting is going to be our main focus this evening. But first I want to open it up a little bit to the class. So are we wasting our time by making New Year's resolutions? What do you think?
Depends what your resolution is.
Okay.
I mean, it's got to be realistic, I would think.
Yeah, I would agree with that. She's saying it depends on what your resolution is, and it needs to be realistic. So many times I hear, especially this past New Year's, I heard people saying like, oh, it's such a waste of time, or it's only going to last 2 weeks, and that kind of sentiment. And I think it's all in the approach. I think it's how you set up your goals and what exactly you're looking for to accomplish. And I also think it's taking a positive approach as opposed to a negative approach. I think so many of us tend to say, oh, we're not going to do that at all this year. We're going to cut that out. We're not going to do this. We're not going to do that. And it's kind of coming from more of a negative approach as opposed to a positive approach. So we'll kind of talk about the differences between the negative and the positive approach. All right, so first of all, why even set nutrition or health goals for this year? Well, first of all, health disparities are a major concern for all Americans. Obesity, diabetes, cancer, heart disease, all of these things are things that we need to be concerned about regardless of our current health status. Sleep is another thing. Maybe you just want to be healthier or choose healthier foods just to get better sleep. The things that we eat can really impact how we sleep at night, how well we sleep. Mental health, that's another concern. If you have anxiety, you feel anxious, if you're not able to sleep well at night, that kind of goes together. Picking the right types of foods can help with that. Perhaps it's for aesthetics. Perhaps you want to look better, or you have a certain image in your mind that you're trying to accomplish. Not that we should just be only focusing on body image, but it is something that comes along with the territory for a lot of us. And then perhaps it's improved athleticism. Maybe you're looking to run a half marathon this year, or increase your weights with lifting or something like that. So having proper nutrition can help with all of these things. Objectives for this evening, you should be able to list at least 3 features of a goal or a resolution, explain the meaning of SMART, and give an example of a SMART goal. And perhaps a lot of you have heard of SMART, but it's always good to hear it again. All right, so first of all, let's talk about the realistic aspect. So an idea or an example of a realistic goal. I will fit into a pant size 36, so 1 size down, within the next 2 months. 2 months. Does that feel like it's realistic? Okay. What about this one is more of an ideal goal. I will be down to my high school weight, which is 30 pounds for my reunion in 3 weeks. Okay, why? Why is that not?
Can't do it.
Okay, and I'm sure some people could, but it would take probably drastic measures, and it would probably be very stressful. So yeah, you want to think about, a realistic goal versus an idealistic goal, okay? Getting started, sometimes that's half the battle. You want to be healthier, you want to lose weight or whatever, but it's just, where do I start with all of that? Decide what aspect is most important when you set your goals. Are you looking to focus on disease prevention or management? Are you looking on increasing your fitness abilities? Are you looking to lose weight or maintain a certain weight? Or does it have to do with overall health, just feeling better? Everything okay? Is Jana, how are you doing? She's watching. All right, I'm not going to entertain that right now. That's all right. Okay. All right, so you might want to get started by creating a list. List the actual reasons why your goal is important. Okay? So having and actually writing it down in a diary or on a sheet of paper, or something that you can read regularly, recite out loud regularly, keeping it in the forefront of your mind, having it there where you can see it is really helpful. List your motivators. What is motivating you to do this? Why did you decide to make this change now? Or maybe you decided to make this change a while ago, but why are you acting on it now? Or why is this time different? List out the risks versus the benefits, okay? That's another thing. Maybe your pro list is long, but your con list is also long. So the idea, though, would be to list out more pros than cons, right? List out your challenges and your solutions, whatever barriers you think are going to be ahead. So for instance, if you're trying to eat healthier, but you have a ton of weddings coming up this year, or a ton of graduations coming up this year, or a ton of parties, whatever, list out those barriers and then think about what potential solutions might be, or appropriate ways to cope with those situations. Are you going to avoid trigger foods altogether when you go to these parties? Or are you going to work around them by doing portion control? So start listing out potential barriers and solutions. And then, how is meeting your goal going to improve your life? This seems so, it might seem kind of silly, like, well, I know why I'm doing my goal, but actually listing it out, really, it can make a difference. All right, features of goals. Again, we want to focus on positive statements. So for instance, if your goals are to, I'm not going to eat any more chocolate this year. What's another negative one? So, if all your goals start with not, I can't, I won't, those are negative words. Try to put a positive spin on them. So for instance, I will allow myself to eat chocolate on these certain occasions this year, okay, just as an example. Or I will enjoy working out 3 times a week, as opposed to I have to work out 3 times a week. Okay, so really positive spin. Prioritize your goals. If you have several goals, that's great, but prioritize which ones need to get done first, or which ones you think you can get done first. If you've got a goal to lose weight, and you've also got a goal to sleep better and all this stuff, figure out what needs to come first. And then start small with your goals. If you've got a really lofty goal, like again, if you want to lose 30 pounds in 3 weeks, okay, maybe you do an incremental goal. You lose 5 pounds within the next 2 weeks, and then you can always build on it once you start meeting those goals. You can always make them more challenging, but if they're too challenging to begin with, that tends to be very discouraging, and then that's where we tend to give up. Other features of goals. Set outcomes. So again, think about unforeseen circumstances, and of course there are going to be circumstances that we can't see at all, things coming up, and it's just life. But think about, what are your outcomes for the year, or whatever your deadline is. Goals should be realistic and achievable, so we already talked about that. Again, challenging but achievable, not so challenging that they're setting you up for failure. Your goals, you should also be rewarding yourself, and not with food rewards, non-food rewards preferably, right? So I don't know, maybe it's every 5 pounds you go to a movie, or you get a new book, or I don't know, some music download or something. Just little, again, these might seem silly, but they're just little things to kind of motivate you along the way. You should celebrate your successes. And then of course, goals should be smart. So, specific. What I mean by specific is, specific. I want to lose 30 pounds this year. Great, that's a great goal, but by when? How are you going to do that? People they come up with goals and they just don't have a plan as to how it's going to happen. Map out how it's going to happen. I'm going to lose 30 pounds by July 1st by attending impact sessions 3 days a week at the club on Monday, Wednesday, Friday. That is a specific goal. That is specific as to how you're going to meet that 30-pound loss, right? As opposed to, I want to lose 30 pounds this year. Make sure that they're measurable. So again, put in how many days a week you're going to work out. Put in how many portions you're going to allow yourself of a certain food, or whatever. Actually put in the numbers. Again, make sure they're attainable. You know, is it doable to lose 30 pounds by July 1st? I'll just stick with that deadline. Make sure your goals are relevant to what you're trying to accomplish. I think that's pretty straightforward. And then time bound. Again, you want to lose 30 pounds this year. Okay, but by when? Are you going to lose it by December 31st? So then you don't start on your goals until October? Or are you going to start tomorrow and your deadline is July 1st? Okay, so that's a much different thing once things become time bound. And we tend to stick to them when they've got a deadline, right? They don't have a deadline. Oh, it'll get done, it'll get done, it'll get done. And then everything else on your list gets done but that. Couple tips for managing weight. Now, I know most or all of you are in the Biggest Loser program, so you are on a slightly different recommendation than what the first 2 points are talking about. But if you're not on the program, and even if you're out of the, once you're done with the program and you're still continuing to work on weight loss, it's going to be a different circumstance. You're probably not going to be in here as often. I mean, I would encourage it, but anyway, it's going to be different circumstances when you're not doing the program. So resolve to lose slowly. Clinically speaking, a half a pound to 2 pounds weekly is safe. Okay, so if you're still in that half a pound to 2 pounds weekly once you're off the program, that is still good progress. That is not, we don't consider that a plateau, clinically speaking. Set short-term goals of 5-pound increments and then celebrate successes. I had brought that up in a couple of slides ago. Track your progress. I know we've got an engineer in here. You probably like to do charts. I'm married to an engineer, so. But anyway, charts really help him. I mean, seeing his progress and his goals really helps him. So if that's something that is motivating to you, you can do that. And the other big thing that we always talk about is food journaling. When you get off the program, we hope that you'll continue to food journal. It is just a fantastic way, even if you're at weight maintenance, it's a fantastic way to hold yourself accountable, to keep that in the forefront of your mind, what you're doing with your goals. And then of course, like I said, start small and work towards bigger long-term goals. You can use a confidence ruler. So let's say you write out your goals, they fit the SMART model, right? They're specific, they're time-bound, they're measurable. And then you get to this confidence ruler, and it says on a scale of 0 to 10, how important is it for you to right now change, right now? Okay, so you take a look, and 0 is not at all important, 10 is extremely important. And I don't know, maybe you're a 3 on the scale. Like, you really want to make that change, but it's not that important. So if you've got 3 goals you want to accomplish this year, maybe that one falls lower on the priority list and something else gets bumped up. Or let's say on a scale of 0 to 10, how confident are you that you could make this change? Let's say your goal is to be here Monday through Friday every single week, because you're working on your weight loss goal. But then you get to the confidence ruler and you're like, oh, I'm a 2. I don't know that I can fit that in. I'm not confident I can fit that in. So maybe you start with 3 days a week or 4 days a week, and then once you're doing that regularly, then you build up to 5 days a week. So you don't necessarily have to change your goal or your outcomes, but change how you're going to get to your goal. Okay, you can tweak that and build upon it. Or obviously, if you're extremely, confident and it's extremely important, go ahead with those goals. But if you're extremely confident that you can meet them, you may want to actually make them more challenging. If you're extremely confident you can get here 5 days a week and you already are getting here 5 days a week, maybe you bump that up a little bit, make it more challenging for yourself. All right, factors that determine success. Again, you can have several goals, but maybe you just limit to 1 or 2 to begin with. And then again, once you meet those, then you can add on. Have a plan B. Again, we talked about, yes, there's going to be life, circumstances that we can't see that are coming. But if you've got a million weddings, graduations coming up this year, that sort of thing, and that those are kind of trigger environments for you for making less healthy food choices, start to map out a plan B. What is going to be your plan of attack for that situation? Go public and enlist support. Tell people what your goals are. Tell people what your aim is. and obviously I don't want you to feel uncomfortable, but I mean, the club at least is a supportive environment. I mean, hopefully a lot of you have made good friends, or at least have good rapport with your teammates or somebody in the Biggest Loser program, or classes that you attend here regularly. The more people you tell, the more likely it is that you're going to stick to that, right? Because you want to stick by your word, and you're like, oh, they're thinking I'm going to do this, I got to do this, right? If you don't tell anybody, well, nobody knew I was doing that, so we'll just forget about it. Beware the naysayers. So, some of that we can't control. I mean, it could be your own family members. So obviously you wouldn't want to just stop hanging out with your family. But I mean, try to hang out with people that are going to lift you up, that are going to be positive influences, that maybe are going through the same things that you're going through. And that's why we have this group environment too with the Biggest Loser. And that's why we have small groups. We want you guys to have that camaraderie so that you have that support there. Write it down. Like I said, it might seem silly. Well, I know my goals, they're memorized in my head. Yes, but if you write it down, if you look at it every single day, it's there. It's always in the forefront of your mind. It's not getting pushed back in that little corner, and then all of a sudden 6 months down the line, oh, I didn't do this and I really wanted to do this. You can create a collage. Pinterest is really nice for that. You can create some sort of motivational board if that's helpful for you. Or if things, sometimes people will put like positive quotes or sayings on the fridge, so every time you go by the fridge you see this, or somewhere that you're going to see it all the time. Practice positive talk. And to go along with that, stop bashing yourself if you're the type of person that does that. Really practice loving yourself, loving who you are, being kind to yourself. Think of yourself as a child. You would never want to say, hopefully, you would never want to say negative things to a child to make them feel insecure about themselves. So treat yourself that same way. The more you love yourself, the more likely it is that you're going to achieve the things that you want. Celebrate achievements again. And then make sure your goals are livable. And what I mean by that is, don't make them so lofty that you give up on them in 3 weeks or whatever. And make sure, specifically if you're going to do a diet plan, make sure this is something you can live with long term. It's not just a 12-week program and then you're off and then you're just, all bets are off sort of thing. Make sure it's something you can continue to do for the rest of your life. Let's talk a little bit about popular diets since it is the new year. There's millions of diets out there. Well, I don't know about millions, but plenty of diets out there. So I just picked a few that are kind of popular. So one of them has to do with carb elimination or very low carb diets. Those are pretty popular right now. Some pros do include weight loss. You definitely are going to see weight loss, and probably pretty quick weight loss with a carb elimination or low carb diet. It can also help prevent blood sugar spikes, which is good for our blood sugars, obviously, and for our energy levels. Some cons. So anytime you're limiting or avoiding certain food groups or several food groups at one time, that can lead to missing necessary nutrients, so beware of that. It can also lead to constipation if you're not making up. So like, let's say you get rid of the grain group, make sure you're getting the right fiber from the other groups of food, the fruits and vegetables, okay? It can lead to binging. So like, let's say you're on a really low carb diet for a week and you feel good, but then the next time you do have something that's high carb, sometimes that can start to spiral because you haven't had that, you've been depriving yourself for a while. Some people report a lack of energy or feeling weak with low carb diets. Sometimes muscle wasting during rigorous exercise can occur if you're not making up for the nutrition you're missing from the carb group. Boredom, or just redundance. So if you're mostly eating vegetables and meat, for instance, how long are you going to be able to keep up with that, with just those two food groups like that? And then of course there is concern for those people that have diabetes, kidney disease, and or pregnant and nursing. Magic pills, these are also very popular around this time of year. And this isn't just limited to one specific pill because there's just so many. Keep in mind that for most supplements and pills out there, there is not enough long-term studies or scientific proof to really say one way or another if these things are safe for us or if they're really going to work. There's a lot of like small studies, but again, nothing long-term or very large studies. There can be a lack of FDA regulation with a lot of supplements out there. So if you are going to do a supplement, look for something that's FDA approved. Side effects. Some of them can have really strong side effects. They might, wreak havoc with your blood pressure, for instance. Or if you already have a medical condition and you're on medications, sometimes the supplements can really negatively interact with those medications or your current medical problem. So keep those things in mind. Just make sure if you are going to start something that you're talking to a medical professional. Detox diets are also very popular around this time of year. Nutrition professionals kind of go back and forth with this. The current research does state that the body does not need a special diet detox in order to detox. The body kind of takes care of that on its own. However, it is a good idea to eat a cleaner diet, right? Not putting junk into our systems. If you are going to do a detox though, make sure that it's short term and that it should be supervised by a professional. Remember that the best diet for you is the one that will be a lifelong lifestyle. Let's talk about goal setting and eating. So, coming off of the detox thing, there's ways that you can naturally kind of detox and clean up your lifestyle. Minimize the sweets and the sweeteners, right? And I think that's why a lot of people, from my experience at least, I think that's why a lot of people do detoxes is because they kind of allow you to reset your palate so that when you do start to reincorporate foods, things just taste better to you. Your threshold is a little different. And a lot of people that I'm aware of, have been able to kind of get off the sweets by doing detoxes. But again, if you feel like you have to keep doing them and doing them and doing them because you resort back to what you were doing, then that's kind of an ineffective way to be dieting, right? You may actually want to take a look at why you're resorting back to your old habits as opposed to keep doing detox diets. Sleep is another big one. Sleep has a lot to do with our appetite hormones and the regulation of those hormones. So if sleep is a major issue for you, maybe that's something that you focus on this year for a goal. The general recommendations are between 7 and 9 hours for adults, and everybody's different. Some people feel really good at 6 to 7. Some people feel really good at 9, whatever. So you kind of I think most adults kind of know what their number is. You can work on increasing fruits and vegetables. I think most of us can. Most Americans don't meet the minimum recommended 5 servings of fruits and vegetables a day. So if you take a look at your food journals and you're not, maybe that's where you start. If you're only getting 3, maybe you bump it up to 4, and then you bump it up to 5, and then you work on, trying to get more than that. Sweat, so getting to the club. That's another good way to naturally detox yourself. Reduce your fast food intake. That's another one. So maybe you pick out, if that's your goal, you start picking out recipes or batch cooking recipes that you can make at home. Increasing your fiber intake. Most adults should be getting somewhere between 25 and 35 grams of fiber a day. So again, if you're looking at your food journals and you're nowhere near that, that can be a goal to slowly work up to the 25 grams a day. And when I do want to emphasize slowly working up to 25 grams a day, because if you're only getting, 5 or 10 a day, going from that to 30 a day can be a little distressful on your GI tract. So that is something that you would want to slowly work up to. Making sure you're getting enough vitamin C, and not just vitamin C, all the vitamins, right? They're all important for different reasons. But vitamin C is really good for your immune system. So again, it kind of helps with natural detoxing. Making sure you're getting enough fluids. Everybody's fluid number is different as well. The general rule of thumb is that 8 cups of fluid a day, 8 ounce cups of fluid a day. But everybody's number is kind of different. And remember, fluids don't all have to be from water. It can include milk, it can include tea. I don't really emphasize juice, but it does count as a fluid. Just keep the juice portions small and infrequent. Eat minimally processed foods and refined carbs. So if you're looking at your food journals or you're going through your cabinets and you're just noticing you have a lot of snack foods, maybe you start taking a look at the labels and switching over to less processed foods, foods with less ingredients, or foods that have higher fiber content, or whole grains is one of the first ingredients, right? So those are all natural ways that you can kind of clean up your diet. There are foods that naturally detoxify: yogurt, watercress, lemon water, ginger and garlic, green tea, whole grains, dark leafy greens, artichokes, and beets. Those are all foods that they all have different things that they do, but there's certain vitamins and minerals and things in them that kind of help to naturally flush out toxins from the body. So if there are certain foods you're looking for, these would be good foods to include. Ideas for nutrition goals, if you're looking for some ideas. Some of you don't eat breakfast. I hope by now you are. But I'll take a look at food journals, and that's one of the first things I notice is that lots of people don't eat breakfast. They feel like they don't have time, or they're just not hungry in the morning. That's totally understandable, but maybe that's a good place to start. Breakfast really does kind of set the tone for the day. It can really affect your mood and how you handle things. And it also affects how you eat later in the day. If you skip breakfast and then you're starving at lunch, that's when we tend to eat double portions or make less healthy food choices. So maybe you start with that. Or, like I talked about, replace refined grains with whole grains. If you take a look in your cupboard and you see a lot of white noodles, white rices, white bread, you can take a look at switching those over to the whole grain versions. Increasing your vegetable intake. Again, we talked about if you're looking at your food journals and you're only getting, 3 servings a day, you can look at bumping up to 4 and then 5. Devise a meal plan. This one is huge. I think we all have concerns about that. We get busy during the week, and if we didn't prepare something on the weekend or on our days off, it's just, again, all bets are off sort of thing. In the middle of the week, we're just running to go get fast food or whatever's convenient, right? So devising a meal plan can really help with that. Maybe you pick out 2 to 3 recipes to start with. If you're not really keen on cooking, you pick out 2 to 3 recipes that are simple, require very little ingredients. Start getting comfortable with those. Make them on the weekend or on a day off or something. Make a bigger batch, freeze them in storage containers, and then you can kind of start to work those into your meal plan. Go no more than 4 hours between meals. This is another big thing that I see. People will they might eat 3 meals a day, but it's just the intervals in between meals are just so big. And that's where a lot of that 2 p.m. snacking thing comes along, or just when your meal intervals are so far apart, that's when you tend to feel sluggish. That's when you tend to reach for the candies and the potato chips. We talked about the fluid, so that's somewhere else you can start if you know you're not a good water drinker, as people will say. You can take a look at bumping that up. And again, if let's say you're drinking 4 cups of fluid a day, you don't have to go all the way to 8 the next day. Bump it up to 5 or 6 and then go up from there. Reduce your sugary beverages if you're still drinking a lot of juice or soda or both, or sweetened teas. And then find stress-relieving alternatives. That's another big one. I think a lot of us deal with emotional eating, and a lot of it is derived from stress or anxiety in our lives. So finding alternatives, that could be your first and only goal right there. If you know that you're an emotional eater, or you mindlessly eat at night or whatever, think of other activities that can replace the eating. As far as motivation, because again, a lot of you, and especially that Biggest Loser is starting to come to an end. You know, a lot of you might be really getting close to your goal, or maybe you're at your goal and weight maintenance is your concern, because maybe you lost before and just you haven't been able to maintain. So motivation is going to become really important at some point. Adjust your goal, but it should remain challenging. So again, if you're working on your goals and you're like, oh, this is too much right now, or they're too lofty, whatever, adjust the goal, make it a little easier for yourself, but still challenging. If you get off track, reset. We tend to do that where it's like, oh, you know what, I had a bad day, and then I had another bad day, and you know what, the whole week is gone, and oh well. So then it starts in that cycle again. So if you get off track, just reset yourself. Great, I had a couple bad days there, I'm back in it, let's get back in this. Stop beating yourself up, and that goes back to the last point. If you had a bad day, so what? Let it go, it's over, move on to the next thing. Reward your small successes. If money is hindering you, consider less costly alternatives. I get that a lot. It costs a lot to eat healthy. But if you think about all the money we spend on processed foods and things when we could have just been making home cooked meals, it really could save you a lot of money in the long run. And then there's always the point too. Maybe it costs a little bit more now, but what is it going to cost you in the long run health-wise? Are you going to be at the doctor's office more because you were eating the wrong types of foods earlier in your life? There's always that aspect as well. And then I was talking to the chiropractor the other day too, and he brought up a good point. He said, if you want to save money, if you're eating processed foods, just eat less portions. Eat smaller portions of those foods. So he's not even talking about getting rid of those foods. He's just talking about cutting down on your portions, and you'll save money there too. No excuses. If you truly want something, you will find a way. That's kind of a general statement, but it is very true. If you make up excuses, well, of course you're gonna talk yourself out of coming here. And that's why it's important too to kind of have a support system or a buddy that you work out with, because then they'll hold you accountable. And now when I say no excuses, that doesn't mean, obviously if you have a loss in the family or you're injured or something like that is way different than, well, I just don't feel like going tonight, or well, I gotta take the kids somewhere and then I won't be home till late and I'm tired. Those kind of excuses are much different than actual emergency type situations. As far as supports go, because again, having supports and accountability is major, again, especially when you get done with the program. Consider support groups or forming your own support groups too. If you have, friends that you've made through the program, keep in touch, email each other, go on Facebook and stay in touch. There's like MyFitnessPal and Spark People, they have kind of forums and stuff that you can post on or get ideas from, and that goes along with websites. And then of course there's the MyFitnessPal app and the Spark People app that you can track your progress on. Gadgets like Fitbit and the Jawbone and all that stuff too are helpful. And then of course there's weight management professionals here. There's the trainers. Renee is a good resource. Of course myself, good resource. So you have supports, you just need to utilize them. And then of course resolve to set goals now. So I just want to leave you with a quote. This bright new year has given me to live each day with zest, to daily grow and try to be my highest and my best. And that's a quote from William Arthur Ward. Questions? Yeah.
I heard of a trend recently, and it had to do with the word fast was in the title. And they say, eat dinner before 5 p.m. and don't eat again until 9 a.m. so your body can have 16 hours to really process everything and it can help you lose weight. What do you think about going a longer time without eating?
I'm going to actually open that up to the class. Did everybody hear that? So, have you guys heard of not eating past 5 p.m., right? So that your body has that, like a 16-hour period to fast. Have you guys heard of that at all? Okay, or any thoughts on that? Has anybody tried to do an extended fast or something like that? Okay.
I did. I tried it.
Ooh.
A fast did 2.5 days
Mhm.
fast, and it was just drinking liquids, broth, water, coffee, whatever, tea,
Mhm.
for the whole time. You could do it as long as you wanted to.
Mhm.
So, and I survived it fine.
Yeah, I mean, our bodies are
I did
equipped
great.
to
And
survive
it.
it.
did help me to get back on track and not buying the sweets and eating healthier.
Mhm. So, but then what? Maybe this is personal. You don't have to answer this. I mean, what happened that?
I lost some weight. I started my weight loss,
Mhm.
and then I was able to get back on track and more serious about it.
Mhm. And so,
But-
were you able to keep up with it?
No, I mean I until I went on vacation.
Okay.
So, but it was a healthy feeling. I think I'll do it again.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, lots of people that do fasts
It's
or
easier than managing menus and.
Okay.
And
yeah, I mean, lots of people that do fasts or detox diets typically report like a euphoric feeling, and a lot of that is physiological, so that's not uncommon. So you might feel good doing a fast. Your body also builds up ketones when you're in a fasted state, so a lot of times hunger is suppressed. So a lot of people are like, "Oh my gosh, I'm going to be really hungry," when you really aren't. But it kind of goes back to what I had said too. If you're doing a fast or a detox, if you feel like, I mean, obviously that's something you shouldn't sustain. You shouldn't do that long term. But if you feel like it resets you, great. But if you feel like you have to keep doing it and doing it and doing it, then you really need to take a look at what is triggering you, what's causing you, what behavior changes do you need to make, because you really shouldn't have to do, I mean, research says you really should not have to do detoxes. So you want to figure out the behaviors. So, but then going back to yours, I haven't heard that one specifically. I've heard of the intermittent fasting, where it's like alternating days.
Yeah.
I've heard of that, and some people, it works great. It kind of just depends on you. Now, I will tell you, there's not a lot of good scientific research on intermittent fasting. There's some out there, but it's, it doesn't have a lot of research on it, so it's not something that I typically promote, but I do know people that do it and do it fine. But that doesn't mean on your non-fasting days that you can just go crazy and eat whatever the entire day. Because what it comes down to is at the end of the week, it's calories in, calories out, right? So if you fasted, didn't eat on 2 days of the week, but then on your non-fasted days you ate 3,000 calories. Well, if it comes out at the end of the week to still be what you were doing before calorie-wise, you're still not going to see a loss. So ultimately it comes down to calories in, calories out. My only other concern with intermittent fasting too is just how you feel, and what I mean by that is, I don't want you to feel sluggish or lightheaded or anything like that. If you're going to be in here working out and you're doing a big workout and you've been fasting all day, that might be a recipe for disaster for some people. So you have to be very careful with that too. Typically, if you're doing a fast or a detox, vigorous exercise is not recommended. So, did you do any exercise, Mia?
I did my normal activity and I was fine.
You were good? Okay.
I had plenty, I guess, to live on, but.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, it isn't something that I would recommend. The other thing is too, a lot of times when your body is in a fasted state and you come and work out, your muscles tend to break down so that your body can use energy from your muscles, and you don't want muscle breakdown. We want lean body mass, not muscle breakdown. So you have to be careful with that too.
Why doesn't it use fat instead?
It can use fat, but it just depends on your body and how much stores you have and all that good stuff. So it depends on you. So, but yeah, I don't know about that. I haven't heard the 5 p.m. to morning one.
It was whatever 16 hours you want, but they were saying you could make it easy by doing it overnight. It's just to give your body a break without eating food.
Sure.
It's good for it.
Sure. Okay. I don't know who was first.
It doesn't matter. Well, what about, I mean, if you think about how you talk about like sugar spikes and how your body utilizes your, you know, your fruits, your vegetables, your proteins and everything else, so that your muscles, you know, after you do a workout with, you know, protein, so that they repair themselves correctly, and all those other things grouped together. If you do fasts and you know you're depleting your body of having all those nutrients, what happens when you all of a sudden eat, and where do those stores go to? You know, so if you fast and you didn't take any food in, and all of a sudden you eat, no matter what it is, whether it's eggs in an English muffin or it's a Big Mac, it doesn't matter. It's gonna grab that stuff and say, hey, this person's been starving themselves for the last 16 hours. We're gonna hold on to this for the energy for them to have.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean,
I agree with that.
so, because no matter what you put back into it, it's like, oh, cool, she's eating now. We need to hold on to this so that she has it for next time if she decides to do this. So,
Yeah, and that's why a lot of times, like with low carb diets, that's why a lot of people feel like once they start eating carbs again, they put on a lot of weight. Because yeah, it's your body's in that fasted state, and that's why a lot of detox diets will do gradual, like, reintroduction of foods, not just, okay, you're done and now eat whatever. So, but yeah, I mean, and again, there's not a lot of good scientific research that tells us what happens exactly with the body when you're doing that.
I don't think that's where like yo-yo dieting comes from. You try something for a small period of time and you're like, oh crud, that doesn't work, and then you go back to what you used to do before, and it's kind of like, oh great, now you're giving me stuff to work off of, and you're going to work out great. I have some energy to work, you know, to work with, to do the things that you do throughout the day.
Yeah.
It doesn't. It's just going to keep storing it because it knows it's not. You're not giving it to your body on a regular basis.
Yeah, I mean, and keep in mind too, when you lose weight like that, yes, your body is going to use some of your fat stores, but it also, if it starts breaking down muscle, you're going to have that. So you're going to have weight loss from muscle mass, and then your body is also going to release water, so you're going to have water loss. So then, yeah, when you start to eat and your body puts on weight, it's not going to put it on as muscle. It's going to put it on as fat. So that's why I'm saying I think that's why a lot of detox diets do focus on gradual reintroduction. And then, yeah, you have to have that exercise piece too, because, you know, yeah, it's just, again, that's why I'm not a big proponent of detoxes or fasted diets. But again, you know, if you try them and they work for you, then that's great. Just make sure medically it's a good thing for you if you're speaking to your doctor.
Different question. When you were talking about the supplements and different things, and you know, looking for FDA approved, is that always on the packaging? Because it's never really occurred to me. I'm not really looking at that. I haven't been looking at those things before, but I would like to look at protein powder or something for shakes.
It's not always on the packaging. Not all products are FDA approved. What is it, the USP? Does anybody know? Is that what it's, the USP label? I can look it up if you stay after class, but there is a certain like FDA approval sticker or whatever that they put on there.
That industry isn't that well regulated anyway. A lot of that stuff. I mean, that's why they get away with what they do, because there's no regulation to it.
Yeah, you know, there's an act from 1994 that protects companies. So basically, as long as the company itself or the manufacturer itself is claiming that their claims are correct, the FDA, in a sense, takes them at their word, and then the FDA does not intervene until people start reporting problems. That's why, like ephedra, those types of things were on the market, and then didn't get banned until people were having serious health concerns.
So people die.
Right. Yeah, it was unfortunately mortality. So yeah, but that 1994 Act does protect manufacturers. So, I mean, essentially, you could get a product if it's not FDA approved or whatever. Well, even if it is FDA approved, you know, you could get a product that isn't well researched and they're backing up their claims, but it just
And I think
find out the hard way.
And I think what she's been looking for, and I think I'll look a little soon in the not too distant, is just something that's a protein more than anything, so that you can do kind of a protein shake in the morning.
Sure.
Instead of something that's an actual real protein
Yeah.
powder that's just going to give you the protein portion.
Yeah, and you can talk to some of the trainers have protein supplements that they really like and that they really feel like are good products. You can kind of talk to them too. I know Stephanie has one. I think Brittany has one that she likes. I'm sure Tom does too. Okay. I'm sure probably. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if all the trainers do, but I know several of the trainers do have products that they like, so you can talk to them. Because at least they have a lot of experience with it. A lot of them take it themselves, and so they at least have some knowledge on it. But yeah, I mean, if you're looking for something that's at least FDA approved, there's that USB or USP sticker. I can look it up for you though. Yeah.
The supplements will say on the back, like when they're not approved. So all of them on the back, if it's not approved, it'll say it that it hasn't been approved into, consultant nutrition.
I get that might have to be their disclaimer.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then the FDA could come after them. Mm-hmm.
Also with some of them, they'll say, this was a study was done, and they might say 42 people over 16 weeks or something.
Yeah.
It's a small. Yeah, it's too small and too short and too.
Yeah, be very wary of, I mean, there's a lot of, and the internet and media these days, I mean, there's a lot of hype behind a lot of diets and products out there, and we get caught up because it's like, oh, look at the testimonials, and oh, this celebrity did this, and this and that, and so we get kind of caught up in that, and then you start looking for scientific research, and like you said, 42 people, and it was like a 2-week or.
Like whoever lost 40 pounds.
Sure.
Or it could just be Photoshop.
Sure, or I mean lighting and with testimonial pictures, lighting and sucking it in versus not. I mean, those make a huge, that makes a huge difference.
I think what you said though, I mean, really what I've noticed, and I know what you've noticed, even what we've done, is it's really the calories.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where the change has been. I mean, I limited myself to 1,500 calories a week. And I've been a day. I only eat on Tuesday. I only eat on Tuesday. No, but 1,500 a day, and I mean, I'm seeing the difference just from that alone. I mean, plus the 3 days here, obviously, but that alone was a huge difference. Just knowing that I'm having 1,500, and I think the reality is a lot of people don't realize. And I think what I'm finding, because I even have some coworkers now that are like, "Well, what have you been doing?" And I said, "I'm controlling the calories." I said, I'm getting the exercise, but the truth of the matter is it's the food. I said, I'm controlling the calories, and they're like, well, 1,500 doesn't sound like a lot. I said, well, that's sure. You can go to a restaurant and have a hamburger that's 1,500 calories, but I can show you what I'm eating, and 1,500 is actually a lot of food.
It is.
So I think it's just a matter of the choices, too, of what those 1,500 calories are. Because I've got 3 people now using food journals in my office. Based off of what I've been doing. Based off of what I've been doing. And one of the girls came to me yesterday and said, okay, I've got my thing set up. I put all my food in yesterday, but then I had a donut and I put that in. And I found out that the donut was 370 calories. She goes, I'm not going to have another donut.
Where she could have had an entire meal.
Or she could have had something else. Because I showed her what I ate last night. I said, well, I even took a picture of it for her. And I said, well, this is 465 calories. I had 8 ounces of fish. I had rice and vegetables. And I had potatoes, and it was less than 500 calories. She's like, that's a lot of food. She said, I had a 370 calorie donut yesterday. And I said, you can have a lot. I think that was the confusion there, that there wasn't enough food in that many calories.
Yeah, I think
because she can only have 13.
Yeah, I think people think it's deprivation and they can't eat anything, and that's why people are so afraid to do that. And not that, not that calories need to be the main focus for everybody. I mean, even just making food changes, even if you're not focusing on calories, but just making healthy food changes makes a drastic difference.
But in my situation, I knew I had to change intake drastically.
Sure.
But in still a way that I was maintaining enough to come here and work out 3 or 4 days a week and not feel like I was going to fall off the treadmill.
Yeah, that's important too.
I told you that.
I still feel like that after 40 minutes.
Well, I mean, you should still like feel like you got to work out, but yeah, not that you're like hitting a wall in the middle of your workout and passing out or yeah.
I like the idea of a carb blocker that they offered at Sam's Club yesterday.
They had a carb blocker.
Yeah.
It was like a pill.
Yeah, like a gel thing.
Did you try it? I mean, trying it once isn't going to do it.
I just assumed it didn't work. So.
Okay. Yeah, there's stuff like that out there too. But again, just, if you're going to do stuff like that, just really do your research first. And especially The other thing is, even if there is some research on those things, a lot of it's not on people who might have a medical history or medications or things like that.
And it's research they paid for.
Yes, and it's biased research. So so yeah, really do your research before you just hop into that.
I have heard that protein after a workout is a good idea, but what's the best thing to have before a workout and how far in advance? Like, should you not eat a certain amount of time before you come to a class or workout?
Honestly, the best thing to eat before a workout is whatever you can tolerate well. Everybody's digestive tract is slightly different. Usually I won't recommend anything that's really high in fiber before a workout because your body's trying to digest and work all that through, and then you're in here working out, and it's a poor combination. If you're gonna eat a snack before a workout, usually half hour tops before a workout. If it's a meal, 3 to 4 hours before a workout. So, but if you, like, let's say you ate at lunch and it's going on 4 or 5 o'clock, then you may want to try to sneak that snack around 3 or 3:30 so that you have a little bit, you have some energy going into your workout, not that you're like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna pass
So
out.
if my class is at 8:15, which it is,
In the
do I have to-
morning, or?
do I have to get up early to eat, or can I just not eat much before I come?
Some people do fasted workouts, and there's research for and against that too. I usually encourage people to eat at least a little something, even if it's like a banana, half a banana or something, and then back the workup up with a meal. So, if you're not real hungry and you're afraid you're gonna,
See,
not feel well.
We have ours in the morning, and I can't eat before we work out.
Okay.
On our Saturday morning one, I can't eat. I can't have a lot of stuff in my stomach because then I'll feel awful during the workout.
Mhm.
Now I can come here and do my cardio and stuff, but like when we're doing a lot of the squats and some of the more physical stuff that we may do in a class, I can't do that before we work out. But I think that's going to be how you feel after you eat, and then try it.
Because I'm the
Because
opposite.
that's-
I have to have a little something.
I think
I'll
until
have a
you
little banana.
actually try it, you
Well,
won't
I've
know
been doing
exactly
it
what
for-
you're.
You kind of have to experiment a little bit, but definitely if you're going to go in fasted in a workout, definitely back it up right away with
And
something.
I eat
to eat.
immediately after
Yeah,
a workout. I go
good.
and I'll go get oatmeal and I'll get something in me immediately after we finish.
Good.
I'll go eat immediately.
Yeah, I mean, try, again, I don't know what time you get up and how close it is to your workout, but try to do at least 2 cups of water or fluid or something, if you can, before you get in here, so that your body is getting a little hydration too, because you can sleep in all night.
What was your recommendation again? Before you work out, like not eat for how long?
I would do, if it's a half hour before, that would be,
Or a meal?
a meal, 3 to 4 hours before. So if you're working out at 4, you eat at noon, that's pretty good. But if you eat at noon and it's going on 5, you probably should have had a snack around, well, if you're gonna work out at 5, yeah, you probably should have had a snack around 4-ish. You're gonna be done by 4:30.
It's more of the you're in the more of the eating at 5, being here at 6. It's really not I've eaten dinner between 5 and 5:30 and then come here at 6. I'm probably gonna feel more sick than I'm gonna get out of the.
Yeah, so you kind of got to know your body. Yeah, if you eat a heavy meal at 5 and then you're working out at 6, that may not bode well. So you may be better off doing a snack at 5, working out at 6, and then following up with a meal,
Do you
your dinner.
prefer the snack to be more of a carb-oriented mixed protein after, or does it not matter?
I usually tell people to do a combination of carb and protein at snacks. So it could be something as simple as a Greek yogurt, because that has both in it. Or you could do even a half a banana and some peanut butter. That's generally well tolerated by most people. But I have heard some people that do get that don't feel well with bananas. So again, it kind of depends on you.
I've never had a problem not feeling good. I have a problem of running out of energy in the middle. That's
Ah.
more my problem.
Okay, so then yes, you should do a good carb and a protein. But yeah, nothing real high in fiber, because again, it's hard to process that. Like I'll do oatmeal in the morning before my workout, but it's not on top of the workout. Otherwise, yeah, I don't feel good. I need to give my body some time to digest it. Other questions? Yeah.
I was reading up on apple cider vinegar.
Yeah.
Well, and they were talking in reference, you should only take it maybe once a day, like 1 tablespoon a day.
Uh-huh.
But I've been like working out to actually taking it 3 times a day after like 3 big meals. Is that too much?
You know, I don't know. I don't know the current research on that, what the recommendations are. I've seen articles been popping up and I haven't gotten around to reading them. I do know that there are health benefits with apple cider vinegar. Does anybody else know about current things that you've seen with that? Yeah.
Well, I just know it's extremely important to rinse your mouth out after you take it, or else it'll eat the enamel.
That's a good
I
point.
drink plenty of water.
Okay.
Well, but still, rinse it, because it will destroy
And
your
then,
teeth.
so then obviously don't brush your teeth right after either. If you're gonna have something like that on your teeth, don't brush your teeth right away. Because then you're you're scrubbing away enamel, so wait at least a half hour then. But yeah, I don't know what the current recommendation is for that. I'd have to look that up.
What's the benefit of the vinegar?
What are the benefits?
It's supposed to promote your body to produce more HCl, more stomach acid, so it digests your food a lot better. So let's say you eat an 8-ounce piece of chicken, which has maybe 25 grams of protein. Normally, I think your body would only take in maybe 16 grams of that. But if you have more HCl in your belly, it will attract more of that protein. So you hopefully get all that protein. I think it's mostly you want to take it too when you're taking the protein powders. There's a lot of protein powders and supplements on the market have a lot of fillers, so you don't get all that protein that they say that you're taking in. But if you have a lot of HCl, or if you have a good digestive tract, you're better, you're a lot better to absorb.
Does it say you have to take it like with water, or can you like cook with it more, make dressings with it more, or?
The only thing I've read up on it is just